This video is basically a prelude to my Petyr Baelish Part 2, and before you ask, it's coming sometime in October, along with Part 2s of my other videos. Don't worry, I got you covered. I was editing the Part 2 video, and I realized it's very long, it's ridiculously long, and I know a lot of you guys like these long videos, but when you're referring to so many characters, actions, and factions, etc., it can be a bit confusing at times. In this video, I will be going over one of the main questions people have asked but never really gave much thought to, and it serves as a nice prelude, both in the story to Catelyn's arrival in King's Landing, and to prepare you a little for my upcoming Part 2 video on Petyr Baelish. Now, if you've read the books, then you know that they kind of shed some light on this issue, but the show completely skipped over this, which I thought was terrible. The whole question of who really sent the assassin to kill Bran while he was in a coma. In case you were wondering, there are no spoilers here. However, I will be referencing the third book, but not that much. So, let's get to it. In the beginning, when Robert comes to Winterfell to ask Ned Stark to be his new Hand of the King, his entourage comes with him, his wife Cersei Lannister, and her brother, Robert's Kingsguard, Jaime. Bran is there to witness the whole arrival. Bran, as taught by Maester Luwin, knows who the Queen is, her house, and who her brother is and his house. After his arrival, Robert and Ned go hunting. While doing so, Bran starts climbing randomly and catches Jaime and his sister, the Queen, having sex. Jaime pushes Bran out the window, intending to kill him, but instead, Bran enters into a coma. In the show, in episode 2, Cersei visits Catelyn, who has been with Bran after his fall, and tells Catelyn her own story about the time she had a child who died shortly after it was born. In the same episode, after Ned leaves with Robert and heads to King's Landing, an assassin tries to murder Bran with a Valyrian steel dagger. Catelyn tries to stop him from killing her son, and in the struggle, Bran's direwolf comes in and tears out his throat before they could question him. They find out the assassin was not someone in service to the Starks, but had been hanging around Winterfell weeks after Bran's fall. The audience is led to believe that the Lannisters ordered the hit on Bran to keep him from waking up and alerting everybody and telling people what he saw. But actually, it's really not that simple. The question remains, who really sent the assassin? There are actually three possibilities. One, it could have been Cersei, but that's actually very unlikely. In episode 3 of the television show, season 1, Jaime visits Cersei and they speak about Bran. She gets angry with him for what he did. In the book, she does the same, but she says they could have intimidated him into silence. But one thing I noticed is that, in their conversation, neither one of them mentions the assassin, which I find kinda strange. If Jaime or Cersei sent the assassin, why not tell the other? They were alone in the room, and they had no problems with telling each other personal things, considering they're incestuous siblings. If anything, they're more open with each other than secretive. So, if one of them did send the assassin, they would have said, oh, by the way, I sent an assassin to make sure he kept his mouth shut. But in the same conversation, Jaime grabs her and holds her close, and he's like, I'll kill the boy if he talks, or some shit. He says something like that. So, he's gonna go do it, or he's just saying that to make her feel better. But my point is, if one of them did send it, why not tell the other? Why be secretive about it? Now, in the third book, during Jaime's 9th chapter, where he's a point-of-view character, he converses with Cersei in the Tower of the Kingsguard. They talk about Bran, and Jaime asks Cersei if she sent the assassin to kill him. At this point, Jaime has already been captured, and he has since returned to King's Landing following Robb Stark's death at the Red Wedding. Cersei tells him it wasn't her who sent the assassin to kill Bran, but while Robert was still alive at Winterfell, he said that it'd be better if Bran was dead instead of living as a cripple. Robert said this while he was alone with her and her children. Basically, when Robert visited Winterfell, Bran fell, entered into a coma. Robert knows that Bran is alive, but if he awakes, he'll be a cripple. Robert, who was probably drunk at the time, said that it'd be better to put the boy out of his misery than to live as a cripple. He says this in front of Cersei, Tommen, Myrcella, and Joffrey. Now, Cersei could be lying here, she could have sent the assassin, but I'm gonna believe her on this one, and say that she didn't. She has no reason to lie, especially not to Jaime. They're alone in the room. There is no motive for her to even lie. There's no point to it. In her mind, they've already won the war, so there's no reason to hide it. Therefore, if she's denying it, I'm gonna believe her. The second and the strongest possibility of who tried to have Bran assassinated is Joffrey. In the same chapter that Cersei and Jaime converse in, Jaime puts it together that it was likely Joffrey who paid the man to commit the deed. Jaime concludes this by saying that when Robert was talking about putting Bran out of his misery, Joffrey took it to heart and wanted to make his father proud by having Bran killed. This also slightly is confirmed during Joffrey's wedding to Margaery. In the third book, Sansa's 4th chapter, Joffrey is opening up his gifts, Tyrion gets him a book, Tywin gets him a fancy sword, and Joffrey uses the sword to hack the book and says he's no stranger to Valyrian steel. Tyrion comments that a nice Valyrian dagger would go well with it, one with a dragon bone hilt. When Tyrion says that, Joffrey gets a little upset and he tries to brush it off. Tyrion here is implying that the dagger that was used in Bran's assassination attempt was given to the assassin by Joffrey himself. He gets slightly angry at that, which kind of proves it a little. Why would he flinch at that? Unless he's familiar with the dagger. He brushes it off because he's king, and in his mind, the king can do as he likes. This is why I like Tyrion, by the way. He's very intelligent, more so than the other characters. When Catelyn takes him hostage in the first book, she accuses him of the assassination attempt. She does this because Petyr Baelish told her previously that the dagger belonged to Tyrion. In reality, it never did. The dagger actually belongs to King Robert. Tyrion would later figure out that Petyr lied about that, and it originally belonged to him, who lost it in the bet with King Robert. Tyrion sums up that Joffrey took it from his father's weapons without him knowing, and gave it to the assassin to kill Bran. However, unlike Jaime, Tyrion couldn't figure out why he would want to have Bran killed. Both Lannister brothers assume that Joffrey is the one who set up the whole thing. The third option is Petyr Baelish. Petyr could have sent the assassin to kill Bran. Why? He has spies everywhere, and he likely wanted to have more of a wedge between the Starks and the Lannisters, which he knows both houses wouldn't hesitate to go to war with each other. However, the time doesn't really add up. One thing I've noticed is that the time it takes for the messages to be sent back and forth take fairly long. Westeros is a large place, and according to Cersei, Robert had been riding for a month from King's Landing to Winterfell. This could be because of the large entourage he had with him, and they had to move at a slower pace for everybody else. So let's just say it'd take almost a month to reach Winterfell from King's Landing by horse if you're by yourself. Maybe half that time for a raven to carry a message, maybe a little less. It's really hard to say. I'm accusing Baelish here because of the lies he's told about the dagger's original owner. What does he have to gain from all this? I'll be discussing that later on. Once again, the three options are Cersei wanting to keep Bran quiet after witnessing her affair, but she's denied it multiple times, even to her lover, Jaime. She has no motive to lie to him. Joffrey, who is the strongest candidate, likely wanted Bran to die so he could get some form of acknowledgement from Robert, or Petyr Baelish, who wanted Bran's death to be a form of divider between two great houses. My money is on Joffrey, but we may really never get a definite answer. Petyr does tie into this a bit more actually, but I'll go into a little bit more detail about him next time. So make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter to stay alert to more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching.